today we're going to be working on learning how to play a D minor scale in 2 octaves on the bass, and we're going to learn 3 different ways of playing the scale. And you don't need to necessarily learn all 3 at this point. I'd like you to choose which one works the best for you, and that's the one that you should be practicing. So the first thing we need to go over is the key signature for D minor. D minor shares the same key signature as F major, so it is 1 flat in the key signature. And we always have F natural, which is different than D major. But ascending the scale, you have B natural and C sharp, and then descending the scale, C natural and B flat. So that's 6th and 7th notes of the scale. Those ones are the ones that are raised, ascending, and then lowered to what they are in the key signature for the descending scale in the melodic form of the minor scale. So the first way of playing it that we're going to learn is as it is notated in Habits of a Successful Middle Level String Musician. And this one uses the technique of jumping down to the open E string and doing the lower octave rather than going up the 2 octaves. The one thing about D scales is because your lowest note is E, you have to start that scale pretty high in your range if you don't practice the lower octave. But you do really need to learn the octave below the open D string as well, down to your open E. So it's not a bad idea to spend some time practicing a version that does include that lower range in first position. So in the Habits middle level book, what you'll do is you'll start on your open D string, and then you will jump down to your open E string. First position for the ascending scale, no, I'm sorry. So in the Habits middle book, you will start on your open D string, then you will jump down to your open E. Now because you have an F natural, you'll have to be in half position on the E string. First finger and then 4th finger, open. Now because you are raising the B flat and the C going up, you'll move down now to first position. So first finger and then 4th finger on C sharp and then D. And then the upper octave is staying in first position, 1, 2, open, 1, 4, and then 2nd finger on C sharp here, and then 4th finger on D. Turn around to C sharp. Now first finger, going down 2nd finger, open, and then 2nd finger here. Now here you will need to move into half position because you now have C natural and B flat. That's a 4-1, and then also 4-1. Open, now to the open D string. And I would say for the turnaround, go ahead and just use your 2nd finger staying in half position for that. So all together that looks like this. Now the second version we're going to do is the version that is in the String Technique for Superior Musical Performance book. And what they've done in this one is they've just slightly modified the scale. They do practice the lower octave, but they've modified the scale to just make it more melodic. So this scale is on page 34 of the book, and I would advise that you consider practicing this version of it if you have the book and can read it out of the book, or if you're inclined to memorize it from what I'm teaching you today. So with this one, we do start on the open D, and then instead of going up, you go down to A, open, and then you're in half position on F natural, and from here you're going up the scale. So 1, 4, open. And then first position, again 1, 4, and then same. Now when you get down to the down to the first finger F natural, instead of going to the E, you'll just go ahead and go up to the A, and then play up the scale just like you are ascending, so B natural and C sharp. And that one will fit together just fine if the rest of your class is playing the other versions of the scale. It's going to add a little bit of harmony, but it'll actually sound really quite nice. So all together that sounds like this. Version of the scale, don't forget to go back into first position for those last few notes. And then finally, we'll go ahead and play the scale starting on the open D string and then just going all the way up 2 octaves, so not doing the lower octave. And this version is notated in the Habits of a Successful String Musician book, not the middle level book, but the high school version. Now this version is a little bit tricky because it does have a different finger pattern and a different shifting pattern going up and going down the scale. So just make sure that you're being really careful to learn both the ascending and the descending fingering. And that is often the case with minor scales, just because you do have some different finger patterns with minor scales. Sometimes a completely different fingering is in order. Okay, we're going to start out the same as what we learned before for our second octave, but now this is the first octave of the scale. So we're going to go... this is third position. Our next shift is to fifth position. It's going to be 1, 2. And then we go to first finger. And this is your harmonic, your G harmonic. So the note is G, and you may have a piece of tape there as well. And then you do a third finger because it's a whole step. And then you're shifting up even higher. We usually kind of stop counting positions at this point. So we've got this note right here is your B natural. And now you can do a second finger for a whole step to the C sharp, and then conveniently that is also a harmonic. So feel free to use your harmonic and test to make sure that is in tune. And you're now going to go, after you do the turnarounds, which is C sharp, you're going to do C natural as a first finger, and then you're going to shift down to B flat, which is a second finger, and you're just going to need to find those notes by ear. Make sure that you're really thinking about where the half steps and whole steps are. Now we have a half step from B flat to A, and then from there you will go to a third finger on G, first finger on F natural, and then fourth finger on E natural, and then you're down to the middle of the scale so that you're on D again. From here, instead of shifting back on the G string, you're going to go ahead and shift up, fourth finger there, and then first finger, and then fourth finger here. That's third position now, and then down to first position. So although this one does go up quite high, you actually do not have to use your thumb to play a note. So your thumb does come up on top of the fingerboard, but you're not actually playing a thumb note. And that makes the scale, I think, a little bit more accessible than some of the scales that go into this range. And also, it's convenient that you do have 2 harmonics that you can use. A harmonic on the G, and then a harmonic on the D at the top. So if you're interested in exploring that upper range of your bass, this would be a great way to get used to it. So let's go ahead and look at that all together. So we go. bit to memorize the fingering for that one, but just take your time with it. And if you're ready to play in that range, I'd say go for it with the high 2 octaves of the scale. Now we'll go ahead and play these scales with a beat, and we're going to play starting with the Habits of a middle level version, and then the string tech version, and then the Habits of a successful string musician version for the 2 octaves. 2 beats per note. 1, 2, 3, and. By the fact that there are 3 different ways of playing the scale. Really, it's important that you just choose the one that works best for you at this point, and then maybe later on you'll be ready to move on to a different version. But if you are ready to play in the upper octave of the scale, I would suggest that you try that 3rd version. It might be the most challenging, but it is really great to be working on getting into that upper range of your bass if you're ready to do so. So good luck and happy practicing.